In this tutorial, we'll walk you through the haunting user interface. When you open Substance Designer, it can be daunting and overwhelming. But don't worry, we got you covered and we'll break it down for you in an easy way to understand, so you can spend more time creating than staring at the screen. We'll be going over it from left to right. The main menu. The main menu consists of 5 drop-down menus with different options. The File menu will allow you to create projects and graphs, save your projects, or quit the software. The Edit menu will allow you to undo and redo steps in your project and is where the Preference menu can be found. The Tools menu gives you access to the Plugin Manager amongst other options. The Windows menu lets you choose which windows you want to see in your application, as well as reset the layout. And the Help menu allows you to access resources such as tutorials, documentation, feedback, and much more. You can undock any window by clicking this icon here. You can then move it around wherever you want, or place it into a second monitor. Click the icon again to dock the panel back. In case you accidentally close a window, go to Window and search for the window you closed. The window should be back to where it was. If you want to customize your application, you can click and hold the panel to move it around and place it where you want it to go. If you decide to reset the layout, click on Reset Layout and confirm. Your layout should be back to the default interface. In case you'd like to maximize your window to see what you're doing in a much bigger resolution, click this icon here. Click the icon again to minimize it back to its original size. Let's begin with the Explorer panel. It's your project organizer, where you manage files, resources, and projects. Depending on which resource you click on, a menu will appear. Each resource will contain a different menu. You can also see your outputs here by clicking on this arrow. You can right-click the empty space in the Explorer window to create a new package or to open an existing package. Next up is the Node Graph panel, also known as the Graph Viewport. It's the creative canvas where you design textures by connecting nodes. Here you can add, remove, edit, and organize your nodes. This is where you'll be spending 90% of your time creating your materials. It's the most important panel. You can move around the Node Graph window by holding down the scroll wheel on your mouse and dragging. You can see the arrow has turned into a hand when you drag it around. You zoom in and out with your scroll wheel as well. Move it up to go closer or down to see more of your node graph. If you happen to get lost in your graph and do not where you are for some reason, you can press F to focus and go back to your graph. You can also select a node and press F on your keyboard to focus on that specific node. This here is the Graph toolbar. The Graph toolbar is located at the top of your Node Graph workspace. It contains various options to streamline your workflow. Right underneath it, we have what is called the atomic nodes. These nodes are called atomic nodes because they are the nodes that are used often and are very important. These nodes are also color-coded for easier access and recognition. Moving on, we have the Property panel. This panel displays node information and settings when you select a node. Here you can change the properties of each node in a non-destructive way. This is the second most important panel. Now, let's explore the Library panel. This panel can be very intimidating at first, but think of it as your creative toolbox, filled with pre-made materials, filters, and stuff alike. You can drag and drop a material from the Library panel onto your node graph to use it in your textures. Moving on to the next panel, we have the 3D Viewer panel, which is where you can visualize your textures rendered in real time in a 3D object. Here you can also change the object to visualize it in other shapes. This is an easy way to see how your textures are turning up without having to export it out onto a 3D program and applying it to a mesh each time. It updates in real time and saves you a lot of headaches. And finally, the last panel, the 2D Viewer panel. This is where you can preview and fine-tune 2D materials from your nodes. You can see the raw material, meaning is not rendered, for the node you select. It's very powerful and can help you catch mistakes the 3D Viewer panel can't. To sum it up, Explorer is for managing files. Node Graph is for creating textures. Properties Panel is for node settings or tempering. Library Panel is for resources. The 3D Viewer for a rendered 3D visualization in different objects. And the 2D Viewer for seeing the raw node information of your texture. We know this was a lot of information, but hopefully the UI isn't as overwhelming as it was before watching this video. We had a lot of fun creating this in a very easy way to understand for beginners. If you'd like to see more, subscribe to our channel, like this video, or share this with a friend or community. And if you got any feedback, we would love to hear it in the comments. Have fun making textures.